Bankroll management is crucial to your success on Betfair. I'm going to do a more serious video today, guys. I know we like to have a lot of fun. Usually you get to see some fancy spreadsheets or you get to see me live trading. But today I want to talk about something that's really important for you as a trader. You see, I speak to a lot of traders who are training either at the basic level or a more advanced level. And so often someone will come to me and say, oh, I've blown my bankroll or I've severely damaged my bankroll. And I turn around and I say, because I know straight away what the issue is, what staking are you using? How much percentage of your bank are you using per trade or per bet? And the answer I get 99% of the time is that they're staking too much, right? The amount will always be higher than it should be. And this got me thinking, because there's been a bit of a move recently, well, probably in the last couple of years, with traders where they're trying to get off the screen as much as possible. You know, we all have lives to live, right? I've got a young family. A lot of you guys or girls watching will have a young families, or you might even be retired. You know, you could have all these other things that you want to do in your life. You want to go do your hobbies. You want to go see your friends. You want to go on holidays. You know, you don't want to be sat in front of your screen all day, every day. And the amazing thing is, as you can see on the screen here, that you can set up a bot and it will literally trade for you. And this is me testing some strategies at £1 stakes this month. You can actually see that if you actually look, the level stake is £1 on all these strategies. And this is the profit I've made so far this month. So bankroll management matters, right? And people want to get off screen as much as possible. And one of the ways of doing this is to place set and forget bets, which is what these are, by the way. And this is just illustrative. I'm not really using this today as part of the presentation, but I just wanted something for a background, and this is quite a good one. But the point is this, right? If you're using set and forget strategies, if you're placing a bet and letting it run like all of these strategies do, you have to be really, really careful with your staking and your bankroll management. In fact, you need to protect your bankroll much more than you do when you're trading. And the reason for this is that if you are placing a bet and letting it run, you are always losing 100% of your stake if it loses. Okay, you are always losing 100% of your stake if it loses. That's the nature of set and forget betting, okay? And if you're laying, you could actually lose more than 100% of your stake. Let's say I'm laying, so one of my strategies here, lay the beaten favourite, that actually can lay up to odds of 15, and it probably averages out odds around 7, 8, something like that. So I could lose 700% of my stake when if I'm using a £1 lay stake, I could lose £7 in theory. Okay, so that's something you have to be aware of, and you have to be able to protect yourself massively when you're doing set and forget betting because of that. And I don't think a lot of people do. I don't think a lot of you really listen and take in the guidance the way you should. And I'm sure some of you sitting there right now going, oh man, I've been caught here. I'm staking way more than I should be, or I'm staking a much higher percentage than is sensible, and my bankroll gets hit when I have a bad run. You see, the reality is, no matter how good your strategy is, you have to be able to take a bad run. So this month, for example, lay the third favourite, £45 up to £1 stakes. Now, in general, so this has got an 89% win rate, and in general, we're laying, we could be laying anything around 6. It probably averages out around 6.0, something like that. But the point is this, when you're laying, obviously you're trying to make money from your stake. But you will, again, if you're laying at these odds of 6.0 on average, if you have a bit of a bad run, you are going to lose a few points. Now this strategy is 45 points up so far this month for me, okay? Now, earlier in the month, it was around 40. Right, so probably about a week ago it was at 40. Then it dipped to around 24. So it actually had a 16-point downswing. Now you're still well up, of course, but the point is you have to be ready to take a 16-point downswing, and it doesn't affect you at all. And using the £1 staking and using a decent bankroll. Now, obviously, I've got a much bigger bankroll than most of you guys will have, but think about it this way. All right, so £1 testing to me, I get it, it's nothing. And you're probably saying, well, obviously £1's nothing to you, so you don't really care. Well, I do care, but what I'd suggest is if you're using £1 stakes, you need to have at least 250 quid bankroll. Okay, at least. You want to be protecting your stakes as much as possible. And you might see, I always think people don't stake properly, or people aren't careful enough with their staking because they feel like they need to get rich quick, right? The old, oh, I need to make money fast, it needs to happen now, now, now. The problem with that sort of attitude and making money, and think about this in your general life, how often has that actually worked for you? How often has trying to have that really, really, really fast approach actually helped you make money, or has actually learning properly, testing things out, you know, looking at the career paths, if you're looking into the job world and things like that, how often has that stuff actually benefited you a lot more than just trying to go bang, 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 I'll try and make a quick buck here and there? In my experience, that kind of thing doesn't turn out well. Look at Saul Goodman. If you've watched Better Call Saul, I'm not going to ruin it for you, but, you know, I'll leave it at that. But the point is this, right? That when we try and make a quick buck, it doesn't usually work out very well in the long run, does it? However, if you actually do things properly, if you actually follow the proper pathways, the training, and BetfairTradingCommunity.com, of course, we give you that training, but you've got to follow the pathway. You've got to listen to the advice, because it's easy not to. It's easy to think it doesn't apply to you. Hey, I don't need to do that. Why would I need to do that? I'm really good at trading. I can use 10% stakes, no problem. Suddenly you find you've busted another bankroll. Look, the truth is that I think naturally as humans often we are overly arrogant, we are overly cocky about how good we are at something, and what will happen is we'll believe it early on, like as soon as we start trading. I had a winner, I must be really good at this. No, that's not how it works. You build it up. You do the training, you learn the game properly, you test your strategies. Look, all of these strategies here have been back tested, some of them for quite a long time, okay? I've only started forward testing them the past few weeks. I want to get an idea of how it works with live stakes, but I've gone in with the minimum stakes, even at the level I am, because I want to test it, I want to check, and I want to see that this works. And I'll build it up. If after 2 or 3 months they're going really well, maybe I'll up the stakes. I might not actually need to up the stakes much because I could just use the progression. You know, I'm already 115 points up. Well, let's say you're thinking of it as, okay, I'm going to risk the 250 for the £1 stakes. So let's say you have a £250 bankroll. Well, if you make £250 profit, you then have a £500 essentially behind you. So you could go, well, maybe I'm going to use £2 stakes now. Now, it's not going to take you, potentially, it might not take me long to get to 250 here. And then I could go, I'm going to start using £2 stakes in the testing. And I build it up that way. See, it's very easy for people to go, oh, but it will take a long time and yada, yada, yada. And yeah, it will. But the thing is, does it not make sense to take more time and actually make sure your investment works, make sure your strategy works, make sure it's worth investing in, rather than just going, I'll just take a chance straight away? And the thing is, I know this makes sense. I know you're all listening there going, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I know so many of you aren't going to listen to it. That's what's frustrating. I know so many of you are going to come to me at some point and go, oh, I've busted my bankroll, Martin, please help. And so I'm trying to help you today. I'm trying to save you early on and go, protect yourself. Because I don't ever hear anyone really talk about this. This is what frustrates me when I watch other stuff on the internet and other people in our space who are doing similar things. They don't talk about protecting your bankroll this way. You know, I'm talking about having 250 bets behind you. If you've got a £250 bankroll and you're betting £1 stakes, you've effectively got 250 bets behind you. That's how you protect yourself. You're using 0.4% of your bankroll as your stake, in theory. And that's how you protect yourself. Poker players do it. If you want to look into a different realm, and you can look this up, if you're a professional poker player, they'll tell you 200 to 250 buy-ins. That's what you should be having if you're playing cash games. And that's because you can have downswings, and it doesn't matter how good you are. This is the other thing. So one of my strategies, the layaway strategy, last month, at one point, in the course of about a week, I think it went down about 30 points, right? Now, for most people, that would hurt their bankroll. And for a lot of people, who, if you're overstaking, that would pretty much cripple your bankroll, right? You'd be like 30 points down. Let's say you're using 2% of your stake per bankroll. A 30-point loss would be 60% of your bankroll, right? Now, this way, if you're using, let's say you're using the 250 method, well, you'd lose £30 of a £250 bankroll. You still have £220. You wouldn't have hurt your bankroll hardly at all. But the point is, most people don't take this salient advice and they end up hurting themselves. Now, interesting story about that. It's mid-August, right? We're talking probably about a month since that's happened. And that strategy is actually well above where it was again. So it's recovered that and some. Now, that might not have happened, but the point is this, it does happen. Good strategies do recover. They might not have recovered that quickly every time, but they do eventually end up recovering. So, you know, here's a couple of questions. If you had a 30-point downswing, would you just quit your strategy? How many people would just give up? A lot of people do. I've seen it. I see it a lot. But the reality is, if you're placing straight bets, if you're letting something run, you are going to get those kinds of runs occasionally. And it will be rare on good strategies for that to happen. And it's been rare on that. That's the first time that's happened. And we've been trading that strategy nearly a year now. But the point is, when it does, you have to be prepared for it. It's like, you know, think about 2008, when the world hit recession. It was a weird time because it seemed to take everyone by surprise. And yet recessions had hit in like the 80s. If you go back through history, right? And now we're currently in a difficult financial time where we're kind of on the brink of recession. We don't know if we're going to hit one. We don't know if we're not. But the point is, we're pretty much in recession in terms of the way things are acting in society. Prices going up, you know, people struggling, businesses going out of business, things like that are all happening. How do you protect yourself from that? You just be aware it could happen, right? I know this sounds basic, but the thing is, you've got to prep yourself. So if you've been cleverly saving, if you've been investing your money wisely over the years, actually this will hit you. Of course it will hit everyone, but it won't hit you as hard as it will hit other people who will end up losing their houses, their livelihoods, etc., etc. That's the sad reality. I never ever want to see that happen to anyone, don't get me wrong, but that's the sad reality of money management. No one ever teaches you about money management. This is the other thing. In school, they never bother to teach you about that. They'll teach you about Pythagoras theory. I'd love to know if any of you ever used Pythagoras' theory in your careers. You know, I imagine the percentage is really low. But all of you, 100% of you, will have to use money management in your life. This might be in your bills, this might be in anything. And I want to help you protect that as much as possible. So investing properly, having a bankroll behind you that makes sense is the way to do that. Don't just go, well, I've got 100 quid, but I want to use £10 stakes because I want to get there faster. You'll end up losing your bankroll, or you'll end up severely damaging it to the point where you're kind of stuck. Do you reduce your stake, or do you just try and recover it all, get into that spiral of chasing? You know, it shouldn't be possible really. If you think about it, it shouldn't be possible really. If you're using £250 and you're using £1 stakes, it's very, very difficult. I'm not going to say impossible because I'm sure some of you can find the way, because some of you out there, you love finding a way to lose a bankroll. But the reality is that £250, £1 stakes, you shouldn't be able to blow a bankroll very easily. You really, really shouldn't. Okay. Now, let's say you have a higher bankroll. Let's say you have 1,000 and you go, well, okay, I've got a £1,000 bankroll. So you're saying at this point I could use £4 stakes and be very safe. And I'd say, yeah. But how many people with a £1,000 bankroll automatically think, I'll use £4 stakes? They're starting to think, hey, I could use 10, maybe I could use 20, maybe I could use £50. And that's where you get yourself in trouble. You use £50 stakes on a £1,000 bankroll, you have a £20 downswing, you're done. You're finished, that's it. Sayonara. And that's the problem, right? Because it's easy to go there and go, I want to stake more, I really want to take more risk because I want to get there quicker. But do you actually want to stay in the game? Do you actually want to stay in the game long enough to learn to be good at it? Do you want to stay in the game so that you could actually make a career out of professional trading? Because I know that 50% of you do, because I did a poll on this. 50% of you want to make a living from this. I think it was around 28, maybe close to 30% of you actually want to be a semi-pro, which again is a great career choice, to do this as semi-pro and then have something else that earns you income as well, so that you've got the stable, steady monthly income that's the same amount if you're working a salaried job, And you've also got your income from Betfair Trading as a massive bonus to that, which in these current times, I'm sure will be very helpful. And then we've got around 10-15% of people who actually just want to have a couple of extra holidays a year. Again, that's great. Earn money so that you can enjoy the finer things in life. That's what it's all about. But it all comes from learning the game. It all comes from being in the game. You know, let's say you join betfairtradingcommunity.com. You do the right thing. You join, then you get the training and you're doing all the right steps, but you don't handle your money properly. You don't manage your bankroll properly. You might bust yourself out within a month or two, and you will never even know if you could have been any good, because you will have just blown it making a silly bankroll decision, which has nothing to do with your talent as a trader, by the way. Think about it. It has nothing to do with your talent. Look, I had a 30-point downswing. I'm a very successful trader on Betfair, right? I've been doing this a decade. I know what I'm doing. If I can have that kind of downswing, even the best traders in the world can have that kind of downswing. And even you will have that kind of downswing at some point. You have to be ready to handle it. Like I said, £1 stakes, £250 bankroll, you will not have a massive problem with a £30 downswing. But yet I know from the people that followed that layaway strategy how many of them had to stop trading it because they were overstaking it, and that became a detrimental loss to their bankroll. And again, the funny thing with that is it recovered, and it's recovered, and it's in more profit than it was a month ago. So that this is how crazy it is, and yet you will never know that if you just quit trading at that point. Think about it. If I hadn't told you, you might even be one of those people. You were following that strategy, gave up on it, quit it, and then you don't even know that till I told you just now, right? That happens so often, it's unbelievable. Look, the point is you need to protect your bankroll to the maximum degree you can, because building slowly is the way to do it. That's how all the pros I know a lot of pro traders, right? I know a lot of pro traders. A lot of the guys, I know a lot of the other guys who do videos personally. I've met them, I'm friends with them, right? That you might know who are in our industry, okay? All of those people that I know personally built it up slowly. They didn't just go in all guns blazing, hey, I'm going to put 10 grand in, I'm going to use £100 stakes, I'm going to use £200 stakes. That's not how they did it, okay? And that's why I kind of do, you know, I do a lot of live trading videos and things like that, and I kind of vary my stakes. Sometimes I'll use a few hundred, sometimes I'll just use literally £1 stakes, whatever. I like to vary it up because I know we all have different levels of trader who watch this. But also, what I really despise is when someone, you know, when people go on and put like thousands of pounds on a trade and go, hey, look at me, I'm really good. And it's like, what's the purpose of that? The only purpose of that is to go, hey, look at me, I've got a big ego, I really want you to think I'm amazing, right? How does it help you as a trader? Because the problem is, and what I really don't like, I think it encourages people like who are at the beginner level, who are at the rookie level, who aren't profitable traders, who, or maybe they are, but they're still not quite sure how to manage their money properly, or they're not fully disciplined. It encourages those people to try the same things. And how do I know that? Because I fell victim to that. When I was younger, when I was in my early days of Betfair trading, I used to roll up money. I used to roll up money from, you know, £1,000, turn it into 10 grand, and then I could lose that instantly on a couple of bets. And I watched other people and I was like, oh, Nutri, yeah, but this guy, look, he put 6 grand on a trade. I just think that kind of stuff doesn't help anyone, and it's really frustrating. Because I know that a lot of you guys get taken in by it, and get taken in by the idea that, yeah, we have to stake big to make big, right? You know, if you're not winning, you're not trying hard enough. That's true to an extent, but, you know, why are we risking really big stakes when we're not ready, when that's not the level we're at? But what I want to get back to here is bankroll management, because that's really important. You have to protect your bankroll. And the moment you're not doing that is the moment I think you'll fail as a Betfair trader. All right, guys, I hope this video has been helpful. I just think it's a really important subject, you know, and hopefully it will help you as a trader. I hope you have a great week trading. But most importantly, I'm not going to say I hope you make money on Betfair, because that's a given. I hope you manage your money properly on Betfair this week.